Okay, we're live. We're ready to go. We're rolling.
I think so.
All right. Excellent. This is Reno.
And Neil.
Steve.
That's great. And we're coming at you from Tokyo, here in the middle of Japan, in the big city. So welcome to the first episode of the NEKO-ALPHA. So why is it the NEKO-ALPHA? Well, the nerdy people out there will know that Neko means cat in Japanese, and that is tied directly to the larger project that we're working on, the United Neko Alliance. But that's a topic for later. What is a NEKO-ALPHA for? What is this for? What are we doing here? I will turn it over to Neil to let everyone know, what is this? What are we doing?
So we're going to be introducing NFT Alpha from Japan. We're going to talk about what's happening in the NFT space and what are artists and creators doing, and try to get that information out to the rest of the world. And so that's where the NEKO-ALPHA name comes from. But our take on Alpha is it's going to be NFT Alpha and other Alpha, just cool stuff about Japan. But we'll put the NFT Alpha up front because some people are only going to want to hear that part, and then some people are going to stick around for basically the rest of the show. So we're going to do that now. We're going to jump into the Alpha part, and then we're going to tell you more about sort of like the other kinds of things we're doing later, and more about our United Neko Alliance project later. So what do you say, guys? Shall we get started?
Yeah, let's roll along. Let's go right into the Alpha. What do we got?
Yeah, so the big thing that happened, I guess starting a couple weeks ago, I've got the Kawaii skull here on OpenSea. So this project, well, it's really great. Let me just roll down here so we can see some of them. A 23-year-old Japanese guy made his own 10K PFP project by hand and uploaded them one by one to OpenSea, built his 10K project.
That's so awesome. Is it awesome? It's like awesome and crazy, both.
Yeah,
that's some dedication.
I know, and it's just such a, like, the kawaii, of course, means cute in Japanese, but it's I mean, they are kawaii, they are cute, but they're also the whole project is cute because it's just so cool that somebody, really likes, like, I'm going to do this, and just jumped in and made it happen, right? And I've already picked up a few of these, and it's kind of like you just look through it, and the more you look at it, the more you find, like, there's such a variety within the project. And
yeah, to assemble that, by hand, and so he had to be producing at one point. Like, you dig into his story, the first skull that he made was last year, July 22nd. So in this space, like, it's, even though this project is newly out, this guy's pretty old school, actually, as far as when he started his project.
In a way, yeah,
like, relatively speaking, right? So he said on the first day, July 22nd, he made 100 skulls, and then after that, he just kept rolling, just kept pounding away on it.
Oh, look at this Neko.
Yeah, there's some relation there. Yeah. So let's pull Steve into this too. Steve, what was your original, like, initial take on the skulls when you first saw it? Because I had mine, and mine wasn't positive when I first saw it, but I've totally come around. But what was it for you?
Well, it's cool. There's so much variety with these skulls. Neil mentioned it, and I took a look at it. I just was like, what should I be buying? What kind of skull should I look at? And I know there's a lot of different technical things with these skulls, so I just had no idea, what to.
Yeah, that's an interesting, right? Like, that's an interesting point for, like, a lot of collectors. that this guy didn't even bother to worry about like rarity tracking and stuff like that.
Well, no, I think he did, but oh, by the way, we should mention this, but we're going to be getting artists and creators on as guests, and we're definitely going to be reaching out to Kawaii Skull here and see if he wants to come on our show and talk about it in person. And we'd love to have him. But he just started making them. That's the cool thing about the project. Is it just he's just, I'm just going to do this, right? And then and as he was doing it, he came up with different ideas. And so there's all these mini series in here. And some of them, and so look at this snowflake skull. There's like animal ones. There's a whole Murakami flower thing that's like some of the really rare ones. And some are gifts and some are images. Some of these have traits recorded in the properties and some don't. Some are on ETH, some are on Polygon.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was getting at, is like, even in their FAQ on the Discord, it's like, is there rarity? And it's like, not really. Like, sometimes properties were entered, sometimes they weren't. So it's like, well, there isn't a rarity ranking in a traditional sense for one of these projects, but there's rarity. Go find it. So like, to Steve's point, like, there is a ton of variety. There's a lot of different things going on, but and maybe that's an interesting thing. Like, you kind of just have to dig into it and find it for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, there's let's see, what are some of the.
It's really hard to look at the traits on the left side and make any sense of it.
Yeah,
but it's kind of fun.
I found that, like, he's got on one of his blog posts, he's got an image of the entire collection, and you can sort of, you can squint at it and sort of look for color blocks and things like that. Like, oh, here's a big bunch of black ones, I'm going to get one with a black background or pink or whatever. That was the sort of the useful thing for me in looking at it. But this guy, I definitely hope we can get him on the show, because it's so interesting that he had a background in photography, and it couldn't have been just one day, I'm going to make hundreds and thousands of skulls. Like, I'd love to know the history. Like, had he been doing stuff like this before? Because it's not just something you naturally pivot over to from photography. So I'd be curious to know.
We're going to have to hear his story and get it out
Absolutely.
there. But I think the thing, okay, what can we say about this project, other than that we love it and we love exploring it? I think one of the things is that we're going to be addressing in our show is, if you want to look at, say, this kind of like, who's making 10K projects in Japan, and who's or collections like this PFP type stuff. There's, in a way, there's not very many right now. So I think part of what we're doing, even this is alpha, and it would be great if we had tons and tons of alpha to give to every few days or week. But part of it's going to be, we know that there's a big wave of interest in NFT in Japan now. We know that there's going to be a huge explosion of what things that people are doing, but we also know that historically, when there's like a new wave of something happening, around the world, and then it hits Japan too, that it's going to be very domestic focused. So a lot of the projects are going to be in Japanese. Everything's going to be in Japanese, and it's quite likely that there may even be a unique take on NFTs, and maybe even PFPs for all we know. Because we've often seen that in the past with when technology, or some kind of fad hits Japan, that there's a unique take on it, and sometimes that unique take spills out again into the world, right? So we'll try to be on top of that as it's happening, but we also we kind of understand why that happens, because we've all we've seen it happen before. So there's part of it is just that there's a huge domestic market here, and it's maybe a language issue, because it just tends to get done in Japan and focused on the market and tuned for the market in Japanese. But then there's also, like, I think there's a lot of people, creators that would like to be doing stuff more internationally, but sometimes don't have the confidence, sometimes don't have the language communications ability.
Right.
So
They don't even know where to start with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they'd like to, but they don't know where to start and how to do it. So I think, we'll be getting into that more later in the video when we talk about our own project, but we feel that there's a role we can play to help there. But the alpha part of our program is going to be introducing this stuff, but also finding it. It's going to be, you'll be with us on the journey as we search for this. And, we may be coming up with, it may be pretty sparse in the beginning, but, we feel like it's going to, the pace is going to be picking up. So if you're along with us for the journey, you're going to sort of really feel like you're an OG in the what's happening in Japan NFT space.
Definitely.
But,
I think we can totally say also that like there's stuff out there and it's just got to be found. Like this guy has been doing this since last July, right?
Yeah.
And we've been to, the sort of the small NFT events that have been popping up over the past year. Like we've been attending those here in Tokyo, and talking to people and getting our heads around, how Japan is approaching it, which until like now, it's really been focused around, I guess, what I would call fine digital arts. Like it's a lot about the artist and that's all fine and good. But I think, and we're interested in that. We definitely lean more toward the larger, like the community projects, the PFP stuff and this kind of thing. So we've been hip to what's happening with the art stuff. Didn't know about this guy. Nobody knew about this guy until recently, but we know we weren't looking for him. But I think it's time. Like that's what this show needs to be, getting out there, finding out what's going on and getting people around the world hip to what Japan's up to. Because guaranteed there's a bunch of stuff going on out there right now that it's gonna pop eventually, like Skulls popped.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it. Taking that journey with you guys. It's gonna be fun.
We should mention, I think some people know this. People who've been in, the OG people in crypto know this, right? But there was a lot happening in Japan in crypto very, very early.
Yeah.
Because that Tokyo was a really happening place in crypto, several years ago. And then things kind of changed as the sort of regulation environment sort of changed a little bit here. And then that's sort of made things difficult for crypto for a while. So things really cooled off, but they never stopped. There's definitely people that were very early in crypto here. And also, there's some game related projects. So we'll probably try to work that in too. But some of that stuff is pretty OG stuff. But I think we'll, in terms of alpha, we really want to see, what's the, what are the up and coming stuff? What's happening now, and how can we put people in touch with some of the newer projects or the newer things, and understanding which ones are, what's the cool stuff.
Yeah, what's gonna pop. And it's like I said, I think it's definitely out there. Just gotta, find it, talk to these people, help them. It's fundamentally related to our larger project that we're working on, is being part of this effort to bridge between Japan and the rest of the world. It's by no means is it only us. Like there's a lot of people trying to do this, but to be part of that effort to keep exposing the world to what's going on here in Japan, because there is stuff going on. And like you said, Japan was in a way like old school with crypto, but there was some bumps in the road while that was happening. Like one of the bumps was called Mount Gox. Some people might know what that is. We don't need to go into detail on it, but that was a pretty big bump in the crypto road for Japan. Definitely.
Yeah, that was definitely. Okay, so you mentioned that we've been attending some of the crypto events in the last year, and we actually attended one last night. Why don't we get into that?
Yeah, let's talk about that. One other thing, though, I just wanted to mention, and I want to get into this before we move past the skulls, is that the creator talks about like he failed. He's a young dude, like 22, right? Maybe he's 23 by now.
He just turned 23 actually, like a week or two ago.
Yeah, so he's 22, maybe he's fresh out of college, whatever, we'll find out. But he had a job interview last year, and he didn't get the job. And it's like that season, like right before he started creating them, like that's the new hiring season in Japan. And he didn't get the job, and then but rather than it sort of like fueled something in him. So rather than, you know, doing something else or you know, I don't know, whatever his options were. I hope we talk to him and find out. But he just pivoted and was like, all right, I'm going to do a big NFT PFP project.
Yeah.
And he just pounded it out. So
yeah, that's so cool, because, you know, I think a lot of people might not be familiar with that situation here, but the school year in Japan starts in April and ends in March.
Right.
And for a really large percentage of companies, their fiscal year starts in April and ends in March. So when you know, young folks get out of university, they graduate in March, and they've already been working on interviews like from, you know, months and months before for where they're going to start in April. And of course, you know, COVID has really screwed that up for the past couple of years. And because it's so concentrated in that sort of cycle, it's kind of like, well, if you miss that April start, if you don't get a job for that April start, it's kind of like you're just screwed for the, you know, you got to wait a year or something, right? Or you kind of got to go off the, you know, off the program and find something. But it's so much harder, you know. It's been really tough. So it's cool to see somebody, you know, saying, hey, what else can I do?
Right. I'm looking forward to hearing about this little sort of, you know, mini hero's journey that this guy's.
We've got to get him. We got to get him. We're going to reach out. We're going to get him on here.
Yeah. And for international listeners, like, just to underscore what you said, it may not seem like such a big deal. Like, oh, I didn't get a job, I guess I'll try something in crypto. In Japan, that's a pretty big swing to make if you don't get a traditional job. So I really want to know, like, where did this guy, you know, get this confidence, the inspiration, the motivation to do it? He's definitely got to be an interesting dude. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, we gotta make that happen. Okay,
excellent.
So moving on. So yesterday, let's see, change tab here. Okay, let me play this video briefly. Okay, so that was an auctioneer announcing the final bid on the fifth lot of so this was part of a bigger show that was happening. So Japan's oldest auction house, Shinwa, they're public company. They're kind of like the Christie's of Japan. So this is their second NFT event that they've done. And the first one was back in October. It was actually on Halloween, October 31st. And that was a solo show by the Jayder. And then this, just now they had this last week, they had a week of a gallery show. And then it culminated in this closing event, which was, again, the Jayder doing auctioning off 5 pieces. And I believe, like in the October show, the top piece went for about 3.5 million or something, which was
something like that.
Yeah. So that's, what is that? That's $35,000.
Yeah.
Roughly 30,000 maybe. And so yesterday, this last piece that in this video, was 10 million yen. So that's almost $100,000. So it was really interesting. It was a cool event. It was as you can see from the video, it's a club right in the middle of Ginza. It's really a futuristic looking location, and the pieces were running on these screens around the room. So here before the auction, they had all 5 of the pieces up in those screens. But and then they did during the auction, then all the screens were on one by one on the piece. So that piece that you can see in the back there is why don't I just rerun that?
Yeah, so it's a
called
GIF, I guess.
It's called Lost on the Open Sea, which
yeah, it's very literal.
I think a lot of people like that title. And anyways, he went for $100,000, and the event was well attended. The auction, was happening, and there was a lot of excitement in the room. So I talked to a lot of people, and there quite a few of the people, some of the people I talked to were obviously into crypto and had NFTs, and were there to bid. And a lot of people were there because they were really curious about NFTs. So I think people have commented on that in London and New York in the past, that sort of the big auction houses getting into the sort of the NFT auction thing. What does that do for the space? Well, certainly one thing we know for sure is that it's something that raises the profile, gets attention, and is a way of sort of onboarding people who are getting interested in that. And certainly I was talking to a lot of people that were, interested about, trying to figure out how they're going to jump in.
Yeah, with this, it's like the same thing that happened, with Christie's and the Beeple last year. It's like how many people suddenly knew what an NFT was, or at least heard the phrase NFT after that happened. And it's sort of what's happening here is this is kind of a bit of a version of that, with Shinwa being this, this old, very, corporate sort of staid auction house getting into this. Then it just pulls in a bunch of people like, okay, what are they doing? What's an NFT? How did this picture sell for that much? That kind of thing. So it is a good, what does it do? Like you said, what does it do for the movement or the community, or what does it do really for the artists? Well, I mean, it raises awareness and stuff like that. But
it's great for the artists. Congratulations to the Jayder for a second successful show on auction. Yeah, it's it's really, I think it's great to see. It's great to see, and it's very exciting. People were very excited in the room. You could tell from the sort of applause that was happening with that final bid.
Yeah, it was an interesting event. There's they were really excited about the fog machine. Maybe that's brand new feature in their club or something. But yeah, when I was first walking in, when I first got there, I thought maybe there was a fire or something, because they were really into their fog machine, which is fine. Okay, so I mean, it is a nightclub, so maybe when they're not having a gallery auction.
I think it's cool. I think it's probably the first time that club has been used for a live auction.
Yeah. So I mean, probably when it's not that, the fog is helpful, to keep misbehavior under wraps and so on. And so
I talked to some people from Shinwa, and definitely it was the first time that they've done their auction in a nightclub.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's one of the cool things about NFTs and Web3 is like where you can focus on the angle of like, well, okay, so do we need this old school auction style stuff when you can buy NFTs completely decentralized online? But this hybrid approach to stuff is like, it's making more cool stuff happen.
Exactly.
And getting more people involved. So definitely. I like that part.
Good.
Just some more props to the Jayder, and actually as it relates to this space where the event was. He's a great artist. I'm a fan of his work. But his work would be so out of place in some beige auction room. His work actually should be on these screens in this club on any given day of the year. Like, this is exactly where his work should be shown. So maybe a little props due to Shinwa for realizing that this is the space where this guy's work should be shown. Well, like, this club should be buying his work and playing it all the time, actually.
Yeah, really. But if you think back to the October show, I mean, he took their gallery and we had a bit of a nightclub vibe happening there when we had that party there, right?
Yeah.
So that that was probably might have been the coolest vibe they've ever had happening in that auction house in their 100-year history or whatever.
Yeah. He definitely his events have a flavor to them, and can't wait for the next one. But hey, Steve, I cut you off. What were you gonna say? Go ahead.
No problem. You made a good point earlier, Reno, about the big Beeple auction.
Yeah.
Kind of got a lot of people aware of what was going on, and maybe that's happening here with Shinwa and this event, and maybe it's not at that scale, but the Beeple auction, but maybe it's kind of a start of that. But the kind of the thing I'm wondering is, where will it go now? Because this Japanese corporate entity is clearly looking to do more with NFTs, or is doing a lot with NFTs. How much will the NFT space naturally and organically grow as it has overseas? Will it take on that feeling, or will it be driven by the corporate entities? We'll have to kind of wait and see.
Yeah, and totally. And the alpha on Steve right here is that Steve isn't exactly hip and too excited about corporations taking over the NFT space. That's the Steve alpha for today. I share as also someone who leans to the proletariat. I share this concern that Japanese corporations do tend to glom on to something new and then try to control it and own it, and it's the same thing.
Well, it's
different day.
Yeah, isn't it like that in every country? But yeah, I think we're definitely. I mean, some of the alpha we're hearing is definitely we're going to see a lot of artists, brands, agencies coming out with NFT stuff. So we're going to see a wave of very manufactured NFT products. So we're going to be looking for, we want to see stuff like Kawaii skulls, but we also want to see like sort of the next generation of that as like stuff that's less manufactured, but still, but creators really, thinking about putting together, a planned project that's really going to resonate worldwide with with a good team, with a roadmap and all that, and building a community. So that's what we're going to be searching for. But we're definitely going to also be mentioning, what's happening with the corporate NFT plays and anything that's really catching the buzz over here. So we can just sort of like let people know this is what's happening in general in the NFT space.
Totally. Yeah. Personally, I hope like the big corporations, I mean, I hope what they can do is, rather than putting a tight grip on the creativity and siphoning up too much of the profits that should go to artists, it'd be really nice if they could focus on a smoother on-ramp for normies, just to get involved in the space, because it's still pretty obtuse. Like OpenSea is a great barometer. I think it's like a year ago it was barely usable, even for a web savvy person, and it's getting slightly better. So maybe
that's
slightly
some
better.
People will argue with that. And there's been a couple marketplaces showing up here in Japan. We've got GMO Atom. There's a couple more. But again, I think we're going to see that a lot of that stuff being extremely Japan, like domestic focused.
Yeah,
so
totally.
It's just it tends to be when there's a new wave of technology or something that's going to be very domestic focused. And the idea that they could at the same time also make that internationally available, I think it either doesn't occur to companies, or they just think that's too hard and too complicated.
Yeah.
So we'll be keeping an eye and reporting on the state of that.
Definitely. And Steve, I did it again. I totally just ran right over what you're going to say.
I don't think so.
You don't got anything?
No.
Okay.
I like to hear your voice. So
I need to hear your voice as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess that kind of wraps up the event. It was a good event, like you said, well attended. The space was fine. It was a little bit too cool for school, but not offensively so. Yeah, we'll see. For anyone who isn't familiar with the Jayder, Google that straight away. Get up on that. He's in our Discord as well, so you can jump in there and find him. And last thing on that, unless you have something else, Neil, the last thing I'll say on that event was I'm not a real photographer, but I do know how to push the red button on a camera. So I did get a few shots last night, and we'll be posting those in our Discord for people to check out.
And that link is going to be in the description below this video. And so I think, so let's move on. What we're going to be doing in sort of like this. So we're going to have that, like the first half and the second half, and the first half is going to be NFT Alpha. And then the second half is our other stuff. We're going to get into like some, I think, stories about Japan, just stuff that we've encountered, or our guests, our guests or other people in the sort of the Neko community. And we're also going to have guests. We're for sure going to have guests, and sometimes those guests will be, when we can, they're going to be tied into the alpha portion of the show, but sometimes they will also be in the second half of the show. And we're going to have some interesting spots that are put in there. We're not going to say what those are. You're just going to have to watch the shows to find them. And then
it'll be fun though. They're going
to be fun. They're going to be, I don't know,
crazy.
There's going to be some crazy stuff. We don't even know. We're making this up as we go along. So, but we just know that we know what we want to do. We've talked about it, and there's going to be some pretty wacky stuff coming.
And we got our claws into some creative people deep in the Tokyo creative scene, and they're gonna. We're very high chance they're going to come play with us and do some crazy stuff for the show. Yeah,
wacky stuff from Japan is what it's going to be. And it's, I guess a lot of it will be Tokyo based, but not, we're going to try to get out of Tokyo too. Because our tentacles run deep and wide. We're going to get some cool stuff from all over Japan. And then typically we're going to end up the show with, an update on where we are with our project. And because this is our first show and we don't have those other things that we just mentioned, we're going to focus for the rest of this on telling you about what is our project. And so who wants to jump in and start on that?
I think I'd like to hear the sweet sounds of Steve's voice right now.
Steve. I was going to say, I want to hear your voice. Talk about it. Well, it's been quite a while, but we've been looking at NFTs and thinking about what's going on and just observing. But it was actually back in March. I have the good fortune of working with a creative genius, really, Reno, aka Sociotech, our creative director on many things, but he happens to be a pretty cool artist and has a lot of his own work. And we kind of talked about it, and the idea was put some stuff on OpenSea and see what happens, and just kind of get in the space and start looking at it. But as we started looking more into the space, we just realized actually there's a lot of cool stuff going on with the PFP space. So we decided to make something, utilize the artistic talent that Reno has, and this NEKO Neko character that he's made before. He's been making it for a while, but maybe this could be a base of something pretty interesting. So that was the art side. But then we also were here in Tokyo, and we know a lot of people in Japan, and we have a good sense of of what's happening here. We have a background in tourism and some corporate things. So, we thought, the community is such a growing part of the space. And, we think that, um, having a place and having some kind of basis to build a community could be very cool. And, there really is a natural community here for this project, and that natural community are people who are interested in Japan or into the culture or into the history or anything else that this great place has to offer. So it's kind of how it started, and then we've had the good fortune of starting to work with Neil as well to kind of put things together. So the three of us have been working on it for a few months now.
Yeah, that's kind of, I guess that sort of pulls it together. And in that last year when we were getting our feet wet and everything, that's when we ended up getting in touch with Neil, who we've actually known for years, through various other avenues. But he was also getting his feet wet and getting into the space, and we just started collaborating, and we ended up selling some NFTs with his help. And the more and more we talked, and the more and more we got interested in PFP projects, it just became this natural sort of thing that coalesced together. Like, hey, let's do this. Let's do a project. Let's combine what we've kind of all been trying to do. Is I think we've all kind of always been interested in like bridging between Japan and the outside world. And for Steve and I, through our multimedia production firm, that was a big part of what we did, producing tourism content and things like that. But all of us, I think, sort of have that intrinsic interest in helping to share Japan. And of course, COVID happens, right? And suddenly Japan is closed off to the world. In 2019, there's 34 million tourists. In 2020, there's 16, maybe, or something like that. So that was sort of the impetus. That's how this project came together. That's where the United Neko Alliance comes from, is trying to get involved in this space, which is very exciting. We definitely think this is the future. This is the place to be, but also with an eye toward, what can we also do for Japan? What can we do in creating a community to bridge between Japan and the rest of the world? And I think that's sort of the motivation with the United Neko Alliance. And I'll turn it over to Neil. I'd like to get his perspective quick on how this all coalesced together. But the United Neko Alliance is just, what does that mean? Well, it's pretty literal. It's a united alliance of Nekos, but it's just fun.
Yeah, I think I have it on my screen. I got the website here on. And
we just like the name because it's fun. It's fun, yeah. But we're taking it mad serious.
Yeah. Well, let's just look at this part. Who's building this? We are a team of Japanese nationals, long-term Japan residents, and Japan fans around the world. So that's the key, right? It's not
right.
And the name United Neko Alliance. The key word there is alliance.
Right.
So we, the vision that came out of us talking about this project, we want to team up with people around the world and in Japan and around the world, just for a lot of cool things that we can do for a community that likes Japan, likes NFTs. And the NEKO-ALPHA, this show that we're starting is that just evolved too out of our discussion, right? Because it's really kind of what we're trying to do is fill that gap in communication. Like what's happening? What's happening? Like when if I just like pop over to, so this is Benito from Artifact is the guy that kind of helped blow up the skulls, and there were a lot. He tweeted in English at first, of course, and a lot of people found out about skulls that way. But we saw a lot of replies saying, well, how can I find out about more Japanese NFT projects, right? And that's that literally is, the question. How would you do it, right? And how would you find that stuff out? And in a way, that's true about like other things. There's so much, if you kind of go deep into Japan, there's so many cool things that it'd be fun to tell people about. And there are other people doing that, and some of them are our friends, and we hope that we're gonna be introducing them to you, and we hope they're gonna be part of the NEKO Alliance too. A big part of it's going to be about NFTs, and another part of it's going to be about other things happening in Japan.
If I could summarize what Neil just said, and I think we all kind of agree on this, is like this show, the NEKO-ALPHA show, we realized like it's kind of a microcosm for what we want the United Neko Alliance to become. So why not start doing it now, right? Like let's start sharing this information. Let's build this community, instead of putting it as something like, oh, that's what we're going to do after our mint or something like that. Like let's just roll into it. Let's run with it.
This is our roadmap, guys.
Yep.
It's like what are we going to do? Because actually we haven't even properly outlined what is our project, right? So in terms of the NFT project, as I've got on the screen right now, we're going to do a mint. We've got the art that Sociotech is just working on day and night. So so the project itself is going to be 5,555 Maneki Neko NFTs. So the Maneki Neko is also called the lucky cat. You can see it here on the screen there. Sitting in a pile of money. So you see like figurines of this lucky cat. It's actually spread. I mean, it originated in Japan, and it's kind of spread around the world a bit, especially in China as well. But across Japan, you see it, especially in small businesses and homes too. So the idea is that it beckons. That hand raised like that is actually it's a beckoning gesture, and it's beckoning good fortune. And that can be, it can be you can think of it as customers or money. That's what a lot of people think it is. So we're pretty sure we're going to get once it's minted, we're going to get testimonials flying in from Neko holders telling us, that how this has changed the fortune of their wallet and brought in good fortune in the form of more ETH, more cool NFTs. And then we think of it also as the good fortune of all the great connections you're going to make in our community. So what's a Neko NFT going to get you? It's going to be your access to the NEKO-ALPHA and to the community. So that's what the Neko NFT is going to be about. And as for the roadmap of this team, you just witnessed it in this show. The show is the roadmap. I mean, that what we're talking about is what we're going to start doing it now, and we're going to do it even better later.
Absolutely, yeah. This show is like we said earlier, it's a microcosm of the roadmap, what we want the United Neko Alliance to become.
But join our community. The links are there on the website. You can, the links are all going to be below this video, so you can follow us on Twitter or see the website. But definitely jump in the Discord. There's the 3 gates to go through. Pick up your rolls as you go through the gates and in the Discord, and get your Kawaii roll. And then make a couple comments, and you will, before you know it, you'll be a senpai and maybe even an OG.
Yeah, definitely get up in there, and we've got some cool people in there around the world, people based here and there. Naturally, of course, people here in Tokyo where we are, we're just doing cool things, moving and shaking, and helping us build this community out and make it into something really, really valuable and really important for everyone who's involved.
Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
like this community that we've been talking about really is starting to coalesce there in the Discord, and still a small number
It's
relatively. I
super
think,
early
but
days because we've,
super
Yeah.
early
I mean,
days.
you're going to
And
notice that if you come into the Discord, and I mean, this is brand new, right? This show is brand new. This is, so we're going to be starting this YouTube with like, nobody following us, I guess.
Yep.
And it's going to go from there. And we've seen a lot of Discord projects, a lot of NFT projects. We know that we could do whitelist contests and get like thousands of people a day coming in, but it's not what we want to do, because we want to build this community, and we want to see that core community happening before we like move into sort of the more rapid expansion of building on that, so that when we do get higher volume of people coming in, there is that core community already there, so people go like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here, right? We don't just want to have 100,000 people in the Discord, and then it's like trying to organize this mob and have them sort of vibe and what they're about. We're going to get the vibe happening, then we're going to build it out. That's what we're doing. We're doing the roadmap first. We're doing everything backwards, right, guys? We're doing the roadmap first, and then and build the community, and then we're going to mint.
Yeah, I mean, in a way it's backwards, but it's logical for what we're doing. And it's all getting trotted out in public now, but we've been working on it for a long time, even long before the whole NFT thing started. In a way, we've all been working toward this kind of thing. And the way we're doing it may be slightly non-traditional, but we think it's the right way to really do this, to have a project that really is about the community. And I know that's kind of cliche to say, like, oh, it's all about the community, but that is exactly what this is. That's exactly the direction we're going. So the way we're going about it may be a little goofy, but it's natural for this project.
Yeah. So I think, that's it. That's our first show. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess we sign off. Neil, Steve, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
that was really fun, guys.
Yeah. Subscribe to this channel, like it.
Steve, can I get another?
Have the the bragging rights. I was one of the first 10 subscribers to the.
This is OG territory, folks.
This is as OG as it gets, man.
You're ground floor OGs. Get in that Discord.
Get in the Discord.
Be a YouTube OG. And
Steve, can I get another take of you being excited? Because when you said we're excited, I didn't really feel the excitement in your voice. Can I maybe get another take of that?
No, that's it. That's all you got.
That's all you got. Oh, all right, I'll do. We're excited, guys. This is gonna be awesome. I guess I'll be excited for us both.
That's why you're here. Be excited. To be excited. Show your excitement.
I have great utility.
I'm just happy to be here and work with you guys and be doing this video with you guys.
Word to that.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Check out the links in the junk below, and stay tuned in and turned on, and here we go off into the future.